Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a yeast starter. I'm making this for my IPA that I'm brewing on Wednesday with a couple of friends. Today's Monday. For a yeast starter for a normal beer, just a regular ale or something like that, you don't need to do it 2 days in advance. Just about 24 hours is fine. But today I am doing it 2 days in advance because it's an IPA and you really need to get your yeast going, multiplying, and really working hard to get your IPA that good, that alcohol content, that good fresh, bittery taste. So we're going to start. We got our Erlenmeyer flask there, 1,000 milliliters, sanitizing. You don't technically need to sanitize it because when you pour your boiling hot wort into there, that'll do it for you. But I'm a cautious guy, so I like to make sure. I got a funnel there that I'll sanitize it before I use. And I'll explain how this flask works later in the video. I got my stir bar, which goes in the flask, and a little bit of sanitizer sitting there. My thermometer, my yeast. It's a Pac-Man yeast. Took it out of the fridge probably 2 or 3 hours ago. Just recently slapped it, so I'm not expecting it to swell up too much, but that's fine since we're just pouring it in a starter. Here's the stir plate. Over here, we'll put the flask on top of that. You'll see towards the end of the video. And a lot of people will boil it in their flask, but since there's such a high risk for overflow in there, since there's not a ton of headspace, I'm just using a regular pot, nice and clean. And then I have in here, I've already measured out, this is a half a cup of just a light DME, dry malt extract. It's a Pilsner. Anything light will typically work. 2 cups of water, and just a spoon to stir it with. That's your basic rule of thumb. Gets you about a 1.040 if you do 2 cups of water and a half a cup of dry malt extract. And so you're going to start by, and the reason I've already measured it out is because the dry malt extract is very hard to work with, especially when it's wet. So you want to go ahead and measure that out, pour it in a cup before you get the water involved because it'll stick and it's a real big hassle. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my 2 cups into this pot right here, and I'm going to turn on the heat here. I'm going to put it pretty high, between medium and high, just to kind of get a boil going. And you don't need to wait for it to start boiling. You can go ahead, throw in your DME right away. Make sure you get it all in there. Spoon here, gonna kind of stir it up nice and gently, make sure nothing's on the sides. Yeah, this is making do since I'm the only one here right now. I got one hand because I'm holding this camera with the other, but this thing doesn't seem like it's on very tight. Just gonna stir it around. As it heats up more, these clumps will start breaking up a little more easy. And basically what we're doing here, we're making a small batch of beer. You can do this with liquid malt extract as well, but the dry malt extract's cheaper and it stores better. I bought, I don't know how much of it I bought, but I haven't had to buy any more. I bought 1 package of it, and this is, I think, my 5th starter off that package, and I still got quite a bit left. And what I'm doing, since this is an IPA, and I really want to make sure those yeast are ready to go, I'm going to let this go on the starter for about 24 hours, then pop it in the fridge and let the yeast settle to the bottom, and do what's called decanting it. I'm going to pour the liquid that's sitting on top of the yeast out, keeping that yeast cake there on the bottom, and then put another batch in of this, what I'm doing right now, and let it go for another 24 hours. Like I said, if you're not doing an IPA, if you're just doing an ale or something smaller, you only need to do this once, about 24 hours in advance. A lot of people will decant, which I just explained earlier, but with dry malt extract, it doesn't impart hardly any flavor at all in your final beer. So for a normal beer, I'll just go ahead and throw this on the starter for, I don't know, about 24 hours. And then I'll literally let it spin until it's ready to be pitched. Pour out the starter and pitch it. You can refrigerate it, let it settle, decant it, and then dump it in. But that's just, to me anyways, an extra unnecessary step. So I'm going to get the heat up a little bit, try to get this to it. And you can see this dry malt extract sticks to your fingers. It's nasty. I don't like to work with it. I don't like to work with liquid malt extract either. That's why I do all grain. And we're going to go ahead and let this get up to a boil. And you don't need to watch this, but I'll get back with you guys in a minute here. Alright, as you guys can see, we got a nice boil going on. You don't need a big, vicious rolling boil, because you don't want to boil too much off. It's probably perfect. And once mine hits a boil, I usually turn it down to medium or so, and just let it go for 10 minutes. Not exactly 10 minutes, just in the ballpark range, give or take a few. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I stir it every now and then. That's not necessary, but I just like to keep an eye on it, and I will get back when this is done boiling. Alright guys, it's officially been boiling for about 11 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and kill the heat here. Yeah, make sure it's not too hot before I grab it. Sorry about that awful noise. I'll try to do this with one hand here. See what I can do here. And this is the flask. I just dumped all the sanitizer out of it. It's Star San. I highly recommend it. It's a no-rent sanitizer. Real cheap. I do give mine a rinse though afterwards, just to be cautious. Got the sanitized funnel here. Once again, this stuff doesn't need to be sanitized because this is at a boiling temperature. Nothing's going to get infected yet, but once you bring the temp down is when you risk an infection. So I'm going to slowly go ahead and pour this in. I hope I don't spill too much. Get it right there, and every last drop. And before I go on, this is one of our good pots, so I'm going to go ahead and get some water in there so it doesn't stain. We have old nasty pots, but I don't trust them with get heated up, nasty particles end up coming off of them, and you're left with a mess. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pop this funnel off, give it a shake. And I'm going to take, this is just a spray bottle full of Star San sanitizer, spray this foil here. Throw the foil on top of it, and put it over here. It's going to be hot. I'm going to probably have to grab an oven mitt here. It's just an ice bath, just cold water. So you want to bring the temperature down to a good yeast pitching temperature. And it really depends on what kind of yeast you're using and what your yeast like. On my package of Pac-Man yeast I have here, it's recommends a temperature between 70 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit to pitch. But a general rule of thumb, anywhere high 60s, low 70s should be alright, but always check your yeast, because you don't want to screw up your whole batch of beer just because you don't double, triple check things. And right now it's going to take about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. I'm going to cut the camera just so I don't end up spilling anything here. It's a little difficult to do with one hand. Make sure you get the sides of this all the way up to the top, up here and stuff, nice and cooled down, because that could, the heat at the top of it could kill your yeast as you pour it in. So I'm going to do this for about 5 minutes, and then I will show you guys the pitching of the yeast and get it on the stir starter. Alright, I got the yeast down to about 71 degrees. It only took a few minutes, went quicker than normal. So I'm going to come over here. I just use this thermometer, $15 at Walmart. It's a great thermometer. It's a good investment to get a good thermometer, because just a couple degrees off can really screw up your whole batch. So I have my scissors, take my spray bottle here, spray the top of the yeast thing here, the yeast packet, which is swelled up a little bit, as you can see. If it's fully swelled up, if I let it swell for 4 or 5 hours, it'll get nice and big. But since we're just putting it into a starter, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're pitching this directly into your fermenter, I would definitely give it longer to swell up. So I'm going to bring you guys over here. Take my foil off. I'm just going to go ahead and pitch this. get another piece of foil. Set it down for a second here. Just tearing up another little piece of foil. That one kind of got torn up a little bit in the cooling process. So here we have cooled wort, and you don't want to let it sit open like that for too long, but for the sake of this video I kind of have to. Cut yourself a little slit here. Hopefully that's big enough. Yep, give it a stir around, and I'm just going to pour it right in. I'm not going to use my funnel because I don't want to re-sanitize it. I just want to be careful, see if I can get it all in here. Pour it straight in. It smells real good. Get every last drop. Alright, so I got my stir bar sitting here in sanitizer. Take it out. Go ahead and drop it in. Sorry, this was off camera. I just dropped it right in there. Taking my sanitized foil here, slapping it right on top. I'm sorry that some of this is off camera. It's hard to do. I'm filming this on my iPad, so it's hard to. Go ahead and just crimp the edge here like so. Give it a nice swirl. Do not, under any circumstances, rubber band this or get it any tighter than just a crimp, because you want to introduce a little bit of oxygen to your yeast and at the same time be able to let the CO2 come out. And rubber band, then it would ruin it. So you're going to set this up here on your stir starter. And I highly recommend investing in one of these. I think I've spent 50 bucks, maybe a little bit more, 55, including shipping and everything. I'll put the website at the bottom of the screen here. I can't think of it off the top of my head, and it is one of the best investments that I've made. You can tell the first time you use the yeast starter the major difference in your beer. You can tell it right away. Nice, it's a cleaner taste. Fermentation starts quicker, less risk of infection, less risk of more healthy yeast cells. And I'm just turning this knob up right here. There's a fan in here in this black box that's got a magnet on it, and that's little thing that I just dropped down in there is magnetic as well. That's what gets your see, I'll try to get this riding away from here so you guys can see it. So it gets that vortex going, which is exactly what you're looking for. You don't want to put this up as high as it goes. You just want a nice steady vortex. Doesn't need to be too fast. I turn it up fast at the beginning just to kind of get it going. I don't crank it, but just to kind of get that smooth flow going. There's no exact speed it's supposed to go as long as you have a vortex. Try to position your flask on here so it's in the middle. And once again, I highly recommend one of these. Should be a good beer. I'm excited. It's our first IPA, so I'm really excited for that. So thanks for watching, and tune in for the next video, guys. Thanks.